Hi, and welcome to The Go-To Girls with your hosts, Lisbeth and Lynn.
This isn't just another podcast for women. This is a gathering place where we're going to share, enlighten, and laugh together as we nurture and nourish deep friendships with our listeners.
Women need spaces where they can be authentic, honest, curious, and feel supported. This podcast will remind the listener that life is just beginning and there is so much out there waiting for us to experience.
And every week we will share more stories, we'll share knowledge and our dreams, and most importantly, our hearts with this Go-To Girls community.
So settle in wherever you are as we begin our conversation that is intended to inspire, enlighten, and fill your soul.
Welcome back to Lisbeth and Lynn and the Go-To Girls. So today I'm really excited to talk about dealing with a polarized society, something that we've been experiencing a lot, especially I find ever since COVID, right? Like that's when I really started to notice it. Maybe it's different for you. I'm not speaking about COVID specifically, but that's where I really felt a polarized, and when I say polarized society, I mean it's always been that way in some sorts, whether we're talking about politics or whether we're talking about diets or whether we're talking about different people's belief systems. But something really crashed or came head to head, if you will, when COVID hit. I was seeing it amongst my friends and family where people were just really on opposite sides. That's the best way I could, polarized, right? This is why we used it in the title. So what comes to you when we talk about this topic?
Yeah, I think there's been usually it's just two sides to every story, right?
Yeah.
And that's been there since I can remember. I think it's always been part of society. But like you, I really saw it escalate. Maybe earlier than COVID for me, I saw it more in the 2010 to 2015 where it really started to become prevalent then. And it seemed to coincide with the rise of social media and the media in general, like the mainstream media, and people feeding off these things to get their information. And it really reinforced a divisiveness in society where there was one side and the other.
Yeah.
It could be the left and the right, or it could be this and that, whatever, like
Yeah.
pro-COVID vaccines and anti-COVID vaccines.
Yeah.
It's really escalated in the last 10 to 15 years to a
Yeah.
point where it's really toxic now.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you could have a difference of opinion. One person might be a conservative and one a liberal, and you could have a really great discussion about it and debate it and look at all the perspectives that each person has. And it was great. I really enjoyed having political based debates back in the day. Not now. Quickest way to lose a friend is to start talking about politics. I won't name names of who this is.
I know. I already know what you're going to say.
Oh my God. And another one comes to mind too, where I start to try and have a discussion, like just a normal debate or discussion on something. And it's like this one woman said to me, "We're not going to be friends anymore if you don't stop talking about this right now. Don't even talk about this, bring it up anymore, or else I'm not going to be able to be your friend anymore." And I didn't say anything in response to that. It was like, change the subject, right? But in my mind,
Are you still friends?
Wow.
I know our listeners are going to want to know. Are you still friends?
Yes, I am actually still friends. But it just shocked me that you can't have a discussion with someone who doesn't think the same way you do. What's with that, honestly? And I've come to a point in my life now, especially because things are so volatile now when you talk about anything really, that I just don't live there. I don't live in the right or left or this or that side. I just live in the middle. I just live in the middle. I call it I live in suspended judgment. I don't strongly profess any particular beliefs or support on one side or the other, because to me the fact is it's become very polarized now. So politics is an easy one to use as an example, but I feel like it's gone from people weighing both sides and seeing the good and the bad about each side and coming to a decision. If we're talking politics, like you might look at all the philosophies and the recommendations that one side has, and then you look at the others, and then you kind of work your way back to a middle ground where you think, okay, if I have to pick, I'm going to go this way this time politically, because more suits me, it more resonates with me a bit more than the other side does. And that's where I am today. I always look at both sides and really look at it closely. And then it became more into tribalism. There's people who think, I'm going to be supporting the conservatives, or I'm going to be supporting the liberals. And there was a real tribe, and you tend to associate yourself with people who are similarly thinking to you, and you start reading information that's related to your party favorite. But now it's come into identity, and that's made it really scary, because people aren't weighing the two sides anymore. I am conservative. I am a conservative, or I am a liberal, which is identifying with it. So if I'm going to say if you're a liberal and I'm going to say something that's maybe leaning more towards the right, people take it personally now, because you're slamming them as their identity, because they're no longer voting liberal or voting conservative. They are a liberal, or they are a conservative. And if you say anything negative about their party, you're attacking them personally. They really get angry. And
I've seen it.
It's crazy. Just the same with the COVID thing with the vaccine. If you said anything at all that was contrary to their belief, you were like a pariah. And I literally lost friends because of that during that time, because it's not that I was strongly one way or the other.
It was a good cleansing.
Yeah, but it's like, I just was shocked. I'm shocked at how it's
polarized.
It's not passion. It's
polarized.
Like, it is. It is. You really, it's like why do you have to be all or nothing?
And the other thing that I have found is there's people, that's all they talk about. It's just in all of the conversations. And that in itself, I find, is toxic.
Yeah.
Because it means that you identify your whole life with whatever energy is happening in the world. And that's your point of conversation. And it's always about someone being good, somebody being bad, something being negative. It's always coming from the underdog rather than focusing on what's good in life. Okay. What is all the good things that are emerging in life. And I can certainly have a conversation. And I don't want to just relay this to politics, because it's certainly outside of the politics. Yes. It can be your belief system in health. It can be your belief system in
diet choices, religion.
Yeah, like personal, how we deal with people on a personal level. It could just be anything. But it's when our whole life and our conversations are all based on what's wrong in the world and all the bad things that are happening. Yeah. Because that's what occupies obviously you're talking about it. That's what's occupying your mind. And that's when I feel like it's a real challenge, because my natural mind, like, I just want to talk about nature. I want to talk about energy. I want to talk about
and security and
and I think that's why you and I really enjoy doing our walks together, because you and I are very much alike when it comes to that. We tend to, okay, what's the beauty in this, or what's the positive in that, or what can we create with that? You naturally go that. I see that in you. I'm the same way, where I do see some people, they're very much, and I think it's great to be an activist, don't get me wrong, but it's when it becomes your identity.
Yeah. I am in the process of watching the downfall of a family member of mine. And it's just
this is real
blowing
life.
My mind, just blowing my mind. He's doom scrolling, they call it, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
death scrolling.
Doom scrolling is the name of it.
Wow.
And he admits to being a doom scroller now. He spends way too much time every day looking for all the bad news and all the scary stuff. He's allowing all this fear that's being presented out there through social media and so on to consume him every day. And this person was very much like me. I would say we were pretty much in the same spot as far as all things go, like politics and the belief systems. And we would have conversations that we might differ on a few little things, but overall we were the same. He is the polar opposite now of that. Just blows my mind how this scrolling through the internet the way he does every day has completely changed him. It's crazy. And here's what I think's happening, because I actually know other people that are seeing this happen to now, is that in the teens, like 2010 to 2020, more and more people, back in the day, we used to go to the news stations, right? We might have our favorite ones, one more left leaning, one more right, but you go to a news station to get your news, or you read the newspaper. Get the newspaper, and you might get the Sun instead of the Star, a little more right, a little more left, but still you're getting the news from these sources. And then suddenly, somewhere along the way, and I feel like it started a lot with the late night TV shows, because Johnny Carson was politically middle ground. He used to make fun of both sides, right? And I didn't watch him that often, but when I did, I always noticed or admired that he was pretty balanced. He attacked both sides evenly. It was funny, right? But now, like the new people that are out there now, they're poisonous, and they're very biased and one-sided in what they say. But it's entertainment. News has become entertainment, and people expect it to be entertaining now. And the problem is that there's is
it really news though? It's not news, right? Like, it's propaganda, isn't it?
It's propaganda. Totally propaganda.
I wouldn't call that news.
But that's where people are getting their news from. They're not going to news. They're not finding it the way they are now. And a great example of this, of propagandizing, because now, but I think it's because news has become to a point now where you want to be entertained, and now there's countries that are using the entertainment aspect of the social media process to plant propaganda into it. The one that this person I'm listening to, and I just can't believe it, is you maybe have seen during the Iran war that's on now. There's this. Have you seen those young people in Iran that are creating those Lego videos with the oh my gosh, they're Lego animated videos with rap songs instead of talking, it's rap music, and it's completely propagandized information coming through. And the person I'm talking about in my family, he thinks it's all spouting the truth. It's so clearly propaganda. Like it might have been during the Cold War or something. And yet he thinks it's completely shaped his opinions. And he doesn't.
So what can we do now I love the fact when you say I'm in the middle, I'm not left or right. And when I say left or right, I'm not even talking about politics. I'm talking about on any topic, one side or the other. That's a better way of saying it. Because I feel I'm the same way. I'm very much in the middle. And I think it's important for our listeners, like, how do they desensitize themselves from that? What are some good things they can do? So the news is important, like the aspect of where you get your news, because once you're into social media and following news now, you become very one-sided. One of the things I never do is follow any one group, like a podcast or a news cycles or news stations or anything like that. Never do that. I always, like, when there's good podcast, there's lots of good podcasters out there, but if I'm interested in the news and I'm creating a perspective on the news, I listen to both sides. I don't listen to right-wing podcasters or left-wing podcasters. I listen to both, and then there's a few that I love listening to that are very much like me. They're in the middle, and they really take a look at both sides and the good and the bad for both sides, and they have a more centered opinion on things. And sometimes they may slam the right or slam the left or slam a person right or left of doing something that they don't believe was good. But they don't become an echo chamber. And that's what's happening. People are, because if you go on Instagram, for example, and you start listening to all left-based news and left-based information, eventually the algorithms, that's all they send you. You never see anything else on the right. You never see the other side's opinions. And if you talk to individuals, I know people who are left or right, but I always go talk to them and look for the common ground. What do we both think is true, and what do we believe in? What do we both believe in? Because it's okay that we have differences about some of the stuff. But a liberal isn't as left-leaning as you think they are generally, and a right-leaning person isn't as right-thinking as you are. It seems like the extremes are what people think of. Yeah, but
the
again,
reality
I want
of it is they're not.
Out of politics, because if politics is just one aspect of the polarization, I'm trying to get into polarized, whether it's people's belief systems or people's sense of identity and how they choose to live their lives compared to somebody. It could be raising your children, for example.
Yeah, but that does apply to anything, right? Okay. I'm just using politics as an example. Okay, so it's diet. So I'm looking at Instagram and I believe paleo is the best way to go. And I keep downloading people's comments on paleo and them saying it's the best and here's why. So first thing, I'm not getting anything from the other side of the nutrition realm. I'm only getting paleo. So I'm in an echo chamber. Everything that I think is true, that's all the information I'm getting. I'm not seeing the other side of it. Or you have to you purposely go and look for the other side. I like to be curious, right? If people have strong beliefs, I like to know, like, why? Why do you have that belief? And I'll go listen to other people or talk to them and try and find out, what is it? Where do you think your position on this came from? What's driving your feeling of that this is the answer instead of maybe something more in the between? So it doesn't matter what the issue is. It could be an abortion, it could be gun laws, it could be anything.
Yeah.
We can all, but there always seems to be one side and the other, and they always really hang on to their beliefs on that one side or the other, and they don't expose themselves to the other side's opinions. So they just end up feeding.
And I think that you hit it there. It's like we don't expose ourselves to the other's opinion. And what I would say, so if you, again, I come back to energy terms, right? Because I only see life through energy. That's just the way that I see life. So when I feel an energy of polarization and energy, that is a feeling of push or pull. It's either one or the other, push or pull. And so I ask myself, how do I feel when I'm in a push or pull situation? How does that feel in my body, in my mind, in my soul? And it doesn't feel good, right? Because it feels like something outside of myself is controlling. And so what I would recommend when we are feeling an energy of polarization is, for myself, I turn all social media off. I turn all external off. And what my recommendation is, when we go into nature of any kind, you get the natural, organic, neutral, and that's the key here, the neutral polarization of the electromagnetic field of the earth, of the sun, of the oxygen, of the air. And so the way to really detach, to remove oneself, it's not about what information that we learned, to whether something is right or wrong, good or bad, what we agree with or what we disagree with. Again, I'm just going back to energetic format. It's bringing myself, and this is what I do for myself. I bring myself back into neutral zone by neutralizing my energy field. So in neutralizing my energy field, now there is no pull. There's no pull or push. And it doesn't matter what anybody says, what anybody thinks, what anybody's belief systems are. It doesn't matter to me. The only thing that matters to me is that my own energy system, which I am in charge of, is in neutral. And so that's how I go back into a neutral thing, is I turn everything off. I turn everybody off. And I go back into nature, because when I do that, whatever pull or push that I have been feeling with well-intentioned people, because that's what it is. It's well-intentioned people that are just very strong in their own belief systems or their own perceptions of how they perceive reality. And this is where we can very easily get influenced if we don't have autonomy of our own energy field. And so to create strength in that requires us to be very still in that nature, in that deepest part of ourselves. And then what I do is I breathe in purified oxygen to really fill my body with all that healing energy. And then I exhale what I call toxicity. Now that's what it feels like to me. For you, it may not feel like toxicity, but that's what it feels like to me when I'm in a push or pull. I just exhale toxicity. So again, I breathe in purified oxygen. You may want to breathe in emptiness if you're wanting to clear, if you're feeling cluttered, if it's feeling overwhelming, if it's feeling too much energy, and then you just exhale. You exhale the clutter, you exhale the overwhelm, and you just literally say to all of to your cells, to your tissues, to your organs, to your systems, to your structures, to your body, to release that overwhelm, to release that toxicity, and you're inhaling purified oxygen. And if you do that in a nature setting or at an altar in your home or something like that, what happens then is your energy field is now rewiring your brain into a new sense of awareness of neutral being. And so what you will find when you do this practice is when you then come back and you open up into whatever space that you're in, connection with people, that push and pull is gone. It's completely released because there's an awareness that we are just here to have our own life experiences. And that doesn't mean I'm very passionate about helping homeless people and finding not just supportive housing, but supporting living meaning all of their needs. And it's something I'm very passionate about. So it's not about ignoring the outside world. It's not about not being active in the news, but it's about choosing to channel my energy into creating action in a loving, supporting way with something that can actually make a difference. Because this is what I find. A lot of people talk a lot, but then you ask them, what are you doing about whatever you're an activist about? And nothing. They're not doing anything. They're just regurgitating and talking and filling their whole system with that. So for me, anything that I choose to be an activist for or support for, that's what I always ask is, so what is your action? So what is it that you're doing to help the situation? Those are the people that, and if it's a cause that I believe in, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. But first and foremost, and you said it yourself, it's about being in the middle. Yeah. And so the question really becomes, how do I stay in the middle when I have family members, when I'm constantly being exposed through it because I'm going to lose friends, I'm going to, my work, whatever. And as you said, we can lose friends over this, family members. So many people lost family members. And it's just being detached from all of that. Yeah. And so telling somebody, just detach, right? But rationally, they just can't see how that detachment takes place. And so that's why I described that whole meditative breath work, because when you allow your energy to move into that neutral space, then when you come back into the world and you resurface, you may not understand why you don't have those attachments anymore, but they'll be gone or definitely reduced depending on how much you practice this. Because when you're in this breath work and you're working with intention, breath work, and imagery, what happens is your electromagnetic field literally shifts in your nervous system, in your electromagnetic field. And so whatever was really polarizing you is reduced or gone when you finish this process. The quickest, the fastest way I know. And then it doesn't matter what anybody else believes. You'll feel you're totally detached.
Yeah. And that's exactly how I feel. I feel like I'm just living in the middle. Yeah. I do educate myself and look at the different points of view people have and so on. But I don't engage. For me, it's just, I stay in the middle and I do what I want to do. If what I'm doing is more left or more right, just using, or more this or more that, it's going to vary depending on what it is. Yeah. And I just do what I want to do. I just live through my beliefs and that's it. I don't discuss it. I don't defend it. I don't question other people's. For me, it's about, I love the fact that you're talking about volunteering. You're doing something that you can you control, and then do that to help make the world a better place or whatever it is. And being curious, nothing people can say or do is ever going to offend me. Yeah. It's their opinion. I'm happy to listen to it, but I'm not going to engage them on it or defend my position or anything else like that. So I just find that living in the middle and
I love that you just said that. I'm not going to defend myself. I really like that.
Yeah.
Because how many people, Lynn, feel like they are constantly justifying and defending their position?
Yes, yeah.
And so that's important that you said that.
It really is. And I'm still going to do what I need to do because it's what I believe in. Yeah. But I'm not going to broadcast it. I'm not going to defend it. It's not my place to criticize you for what you're doing. Yeah. I'm just going to do what I need to do for myself. And if other people don't agree with it, they're not my problem. And just like it's not my job to try and influence and criticize other people's beliefs and what they're doing, right? Yeah. So it's just being in that balanced place, like living in the middle, but living the life that you want to live without feeling like you have to,
like you're being pushed or pulled.
Yeah. There's no push to something. Yeah, that's the Libra in me, all about the balance, right?
Yeah. No, but I think it's perfect how you just said it, right? Like it's allowing people to have their opinions, and it's not about changing anybody, because that's what I find.
You're not going to be able to either.
No, but isn't it funny? That's why people keep, I want to say yapping, but that's not nice to say. But because they're trying to convince you of their side of things, right? And I think it's just everyone just allowed to be who they are and how they see life and how they deal with things. And that's what makes us a beautiful orchestra, meaning that we all receive information differently, we all process information differently, and we all take action differently. And one's not better than the other, or right or wrong, or good or bad. I love that field of just everybody being allowed to be who they are, and that we can listen and learn without having to follow or feel intimidated or pushed out or excluded or bad or any of that if you have a different viewpoint, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. My God, you and I, we live in the neutral zone, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And yet, but isn't it true? You and I have different opinions on things.
Yeah.
This is why it makes a great podcast, right? Because we come in from two different viewpoints, but it's not that one's better or one's worse or one's bad and one's good. I really respect a lot of the things that you do and how your belief systems and your discipline. It's admirable, and I learn a lot from it. And then there's some differences in how I see things. But honestly, that's what I think makes a great podcast, because there's going to be people, when I say like you, that kind of go through the same processes as you. And there's going to be people like me that go through the processes. So you're catching both of them in the net, right? But what we're showing is how to be in the middle of that, how close we are, soul sisters. And yet we certainly agree on a ton of things and are made of the same fabric for sure. But we also have differences. But we both really respect each other. Differences.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I always remember that your opinions on and your beliefs come from way back, right? They're formed with your childhood, with your family, with your peers, whatever. It's taken years and years for you to get to where you are and have the opinions that you do, and your view of the world and how you see things comes from a very different, complicated set of events than me, for example. So we're looking at them through completely different lenses because of that. Some of my opinions and beliefs are tough to shift because they've carried them for 60 years.
And why would you want to? Because they work for you. That's the other thing.
Yeah, that's why I try and live in the middle and do be curious and interested in what other people's thoughts are, and especially why they're thinking that way. Because I may think, wow, like how can they think that? It doesn't even occur to me to think of something that way.
Yeah.
But I don't say, oh, you're a crazy person because you think that. I am more curious, like, why do you see it that way? Like, it's so interesting to me.
I agree.
Why you're viewing it that way and I don't. Why are we so different? Like, and how did that happen? I just find that curious. And it's fun when you are with people who will engage over your differences and you can have a fun discussion about it. That's some of the things I like to question.
And that's when you learn the most.
Yeah, like why, where do you think your belief of that came from? Like what happened in your life that led you to believe this? Because it's so interesting to me. And so there has been times for sure where I've listened to their point of view and why they have it, experiences they may have had in a different country or whatever. And then I think, oh, it really opened my eyes to being able to see it differently. And it may or may not change my belief, but it certainly opens up my mind to the other possibilities, right? And in some cases it has actually changed. I never really thought about framing it that way or seeing it that way. And when I do, I can really understand why you feel so strongly about that. It's what I love, the curiosity that I have for finding out why people
and it's the thing of not being so rigid in our beliefs, in our opinions, and we're right and everybody else is wrong, or we totally identify with that. So I love that. That's why when we're together it always feels like a mishmash. It always feels like two girls in a pool. Not a pool, in the water, in the ocean. We definitely don't want the pool energy, but that's what it always feels like, right? Literally, sometimes the waves are high, sometimes the waves are like completely flat like a lake, because we move with whatever energy is there. And we are both very grounded, very rooted in ourselves. And that's why I feel like both of us open up like an umbrella when each one of us share our visions and our beliefs without any kind of judgment, and just like you said, curiosity. I love that word you used there. I'm gonna take that one, Lynn.
Yeah, it's a great thing, because as soon as you say that, if somebody's saying something that you think is just absolutely crazy or nuts, if you call up curiosity, that's the best way of handling that, rather than criticizing them or thinking they're nuts.
So now all of you know, when Lynn uses curiosity, she's actually thinking you're just crazy and nuts. Anyway, we have to go. I know we've gone over again today. I don't know what happens, Lynn. When
Stop
we get
talking so much.
I don't know what happens when we get together, but this is the way it goes. Yet another episode complete, and we look forward to seeing everyone. So don't forget to subscribe and share with all of your friends, and we will be back next week with another episode.